You know, for years, the whole story around psychedelics has been about one thing: the mind. Unlocking consciousness, healing trauma, rewiring the brain. But what if that's only half the picture?
What if the real secret to their deep, lasting effects isn't just locked away in our heads? What if it's actually circulating throughout our entire body? Today, we're diving into a pretty radical new idea that connects these powerful compounds to your body's own security force, your immune system. All right, so to really get this, we've got to start with the puzzle that scientists are piecing together right now.
So you've probably heard, right? After decades of being stuck in the shadows, scientifically speaking, psychedelics like psilocybin and LSD are making this huge comeback. Researchers are taking a serious new look at how they could help treat some of our toughest mental health challenges, things like severe depression and PTSD.
And this isn't just some small niche effort. We are talking about hundreds of clinical trials happening right now. It's nothing short of a renaissance in psychedelic science.
But this all leads to the big question, right? How do they actually work? The standard answer you'll hear is that it's all about the brain. It's about neuroplasticity, changing circuits. But is that really enough to explain such deep, long-lasting healing? A growing pile of evidence suggests we've been missing a massive piece of the puzzle.
And that missing piece, well, it involves a secret partner that the brain is talking to constantly.
Okay, so this brings us to a field with, let's be honest, a crazy long name: psychoneuroimmunology. But the idea behind it is actually super simple. It's the science of how your mind, your nervous system, and your immune system are in a constant three-way conversation.
Think of it like this. Your brain isn't some dictator locked away in an ivory tower just barking out orders. No, it's more like a mission control center that's in constant radio contact with its security team out in the field. And that security team? That's your immune system. And it's not a one-way street. They're talking back, sending intel, the whole shebang.
And boom, here's a massive clue that was hiding in plain sight the whole time. We all know psychedelics target serotonin receptors in the brain, right? That's Psychedelics 101. Well, it turns out those exact same receptors are absolutely studded all over our immune cells. The takeaway here is huge. The hardware that psychedelics interact with isn't just in your head, it's all over your body.
Okay, so with this new lead in the case, the investigation goes microscopic. Let's see what the scientists found when they put these clues under the microscope.
And what they found was, wow, just remarkable. In the lab, when you expose immune cells to psychedelics, you see this incredibly potent anti-inflammatory effect. It's like they're telling the cells to chill out. They dial down the attack signals, things like TNF-alpha, while at the same time cranking up the stand-down signals like IL-10. They even manage to flip the master switch for inflammation off and protect brain cells from getting damaged by an overzealous immune response.
And you know, this isn't a simple one lock, one key kind of thing. A psychedelic is more like a master key ring. It doesn't just open one door. It can interact with a whole bunch of different serotonin receptors. This is why their effects can be so complex and so widespread.
And the plot thickens because it's not just about serotonin receptors. These molecules also hit other major targets, like the sigma-1 receptor, which is basically a stress manager for our cells. And then there's the TrkB receptor, a huge player in brain plasticity. And get this, some psychedelics bind to that TrkB receptor with 1,000. That's 1,000 times more power than typical SSRI antidepressants. That is a huge deal.
Okay, so that's what's happening in a petri dish. But let's zoom back out. What does all this actually mean for a living, breathing person?
Now, this is where things get really wild. The effect a psychedelic has on your immune system seems to totally depend on its starting point. It's a tale of two systems. In a body that's healthy and not inflamed, you might see a tiny, temporary immune boost. But if your system is already fired up with inflammation, psychedelics do the complete opposite. They become powerfully anti-inflammatory.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that psychedelics aren't just a simple off switch for your immune system. They're way smarter than that. They're more like a thermostat. The technical term is immunomodulators. They don't just shut things down. They help bring an unbalanced system back to a healthy middle ground.
And this idea, this ability to actually regulate the conversation between our brain and our immune system, well, it opens up a whole new frontier for medicine.
Let's connect the dots here with something like depression. For a long time, we just thought it was about brain chemistry. But now we know that for about a quarter of patients, there's this underlying chronic low-grade inflammation. And here's the kicker.
In studies, when people get better after psychedelic therapy, the drop in their inflammation markers lines up almost perfectly with the drop in their depression symptoms. The mind and body are healing together.
And this goes way beyond just depression. We're potentially looking at new ways to treat a whole range of tricky conditions where the mind and the immune system are all tangled up. Things like fibromyalgia, functional neurological disorder, and even some autoimmune conditions that have neurological symptoms.
So here's the new theory, the big idea we're building towards. What if the amazing ability of psychedelics to heal the mind isn't a solo act? What if it's being supercharged by their ability to calm and rebalance the immune system? Maybe this isn't a side effect at all. Maybe it's a core part of how they actually heal.
Which leaves us with a truly profound question, doesn't it? Are we looking at a future where we don't just treat the mind or the body, but we treat the conversation between them? Could we one day have a single therapy that puts out the physiological fire of inflammation and eases the psychological burden of depression all at the same time? Look, the puzzle isn't solved yet, not by a long shot. But for the very first time, it feels like all the pieces are finally on the table.